This episode is brought to you by Neo Books and Coffee. Neo Books and Coffee is an independent bookshop and coffee bar housing a wide collection of both English and Arabic books, and a coffee bar that serves and sells the finest quality coffee beans and exquisite teas. Hi there, this is Wafa Al-Abaidat. You're listening to the Women Power Podcast, a subsidiary platform to the Women Power Summit, the largest event in MENA, with the aim of empowering women and helping them achieve their absolute highest potential. Each week on the Women Power Podcast, you will hear honest, vulnerable, authentic, real conversations from inspiring women. These women will share their experiences and stories into what it takes to build a successful business and career. The podcast will share insight and inspiration and hopefully inspire action and lead change. Alaa is a serial entrepreneur from Jeddah who works as a cultural consultant, art director, and illustrator. A passionate people connector bridging continents with her work, she is based between Jeddah, New York, and Dubai. Alaa launched whimsical illustration brand Fionka. Under her creative direction, Fionka went on to collaborate with names like Rimmel and Netflix. Today, Alaa is the co-founder of MENA Zine, a biannual magazine focusing on Arab culture and design, and the founder of Alaa bint Hashim, and the host of MENA podcast. Welcome, Alaa. How was your experience with COVID? I know that you shared a lot of how you felt on your Snapchat, but how was it for you if you could look back now and sum up the roller coaster that it was?
It seemed like it wasn't 8 months, it seemed like it was shorter, because so many things were happening, like Eid and Ramadan, but they weren't happening the same way. I would say it's like, it's like ups and downs. For me, it's like the distant past, especially because I'm like in a different geographical location. So for me, it's just like, oh, that was there and now I'm here.
You really inspired me to try online therapy. You've been talking about it for such a long time on your social media, and I feel like you've taken this very taboo subject and made it untaboo to your community. Do you still do therapy, and how has it changed you?
It was never online therapy. It was normal therapy, and because of COVID it had to be online. And for me it was a lot of the sessions were online.
How has it changed you?
It's very messy. People think, you go to therapy when you come out and you're just like happier. It's such a process of like healing and unlearning and messiness and crying and not wanting to deal with it. It's like you're in the middle and you're just like, khas, I don't want to deal with it. Khas, let me just go back to being that person. At least I knew how to deal with my anger, frustration, my feelings. I know how to deal with them. Even though it was toxic, the way I dealt with them, but I know what I can do to make me feel better. And then it's not necessarily what's good. And then you notice, why do I want the easy way out? Example, for me, مثلا, whenever someone triggers me, my initial reaction is to put them down, whether within me or sometimes it can be an action of being mean. For example, someone online on social triggers me, so in my head I'm like, أكيد كده, they're not this, or أكيد they're going through this, just to make myself feel better. So that was the way of me coping. And now how it's different is when someone triggers me, I look within me, why is this triggering me? What are parts of me that I need to figure out? It's really not about them. Like, people are out there doing their own thing. And if something that they do triggers me, it's about me. I'm the one being triggered. They're not triggering me. Something inside me is being triggered by what, because of something I've been through. For having a different perspective of this, just makes you know yourself more. And this is something that I need to work on. And in real life, how I used to deal with it, and no, it's like either I might not see how I was, but either I was like مين أو dismissive إنه أنت مين أو kind of like just make it about me إنه أنا مرة فظيعة أنا بس هتكلم عن نفسي which was also like it was a way of me coping with feeling small إنه I felt small how I would feel small how I would like fix that is to talk about how amazing I was even though nobody asked.
You recently started an incredible podcast called MENA. I'm a huge fan. Actually, one of my favorite episodes was with the agency in Dubai, 2/3. But it was specifically about talking Arabic and how like it's a struggle. And when we make mistakes, people laugh but then they expect us to talk in Arabic. So that was such a great tool for me to practice. And when anybody shamed me, including my husband, I remember once we were in the car and I said the wrong Arabic word and he said, "That's wrong," and he started laughing. And I was like, "You want me to be better at Arabic, but you also want to laugh at me." And he was like, "I'm not laughing at you." And like, I think he had a moment where he's like, "I'm not laughing." I'm like, "But you are. So like, it's okay. Like when I make a mistake, don't shame me so I can continue to practice and try." And so that was like a huge thing now. And like, how has Minna changed you? Like doing this whole podcast, knowing a little bit about editing, especially like getting all the questions in the end and the answers.
So the podcast it's produced by Kernan Cultures. They're an amazing podcast network based in the Middle East. So it kind of just happened. It was literally it was in February of last year that we were having this conversation. I actually never met Heba Fisher, the founder, but it was like a conversation of I wanted to do something and I wanted to start a podcast because the podcasts were happening, and for me, like I'm an early, what's the word, adopter of like platforms, whether it was Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. يعني أحب أجرب أشياء جديدة. So I was like, why not? I think it's so important to tell our own stories, our own narrative, and just have us. And for the first season, us was Saudi women. I think it was important to start in a place that was close to home. So it was Saudi women, and it was the guest list were women that are my friends, women that have been in the industry and that I've known from the industry, the people that I admire, relate to, and kind of just having conversations of sharing our stories, which most of them revolved around يعني pre and post, I guess, women driving and Saudi changing and all of these amazing things happening. We were talking in the podcast like we're old women when we talk about the past, and the past is literally 5 years ago, and to us it seems like it seems so distant because it changed so much. So it's not a distance in time, but like in like social structure and behavior that is so amazing.
How did you feel when you saw the feedback? Because I think you started building community around Minna. How did it feel for people to say, "This has changed me. I feel like I'm having a conversation with my own friends. I feel moved"?
I think مرة مهم. I think the thing is, when we have these conversations, we have them in our close circles, but these are things that are so normal, but because we haven't seen them, they're glorified. When we talk about shame, when we talk about vulnerability, when we talk about sexuality, when we talk about these things that we've never talked about. So when we talk about them, it's just like the act of doing something new is kind of pushes the conversation. Wow, we're talking about this now. And it's about time. I'm just like, it's about time. So many other people are doing it, which is great. Whenever I do something, I don't like to be the only person doing it, and it's not an added value. بالعكس, we have to do it collectively in order to create an industry, in order to create a community, in order to create change. We have to do it collectively. Otherwise, it's just this one person talking. And especially if it's something that pushes the boundaries, if one person is talking, it's like, oh, it's her. But if multiple women are talking about it, then it's like, oh, this is a conversation instead of a voice.
What were you most surprised about the podcast?
I had no idea it was going to be this much work, and I didn't do as much as I thought. So I helped produce some of the episodes, especially because I was recording in Jeddah, and I had 2 weeks to record 9 episodes, and it was exhausting because you think like, oh, you're just sitting and talking, you know, but your brain is like talking, and you're listening, and you're hearing, and you're answering, and you're reacting, and you're doing that. I was doing that twice a day. What about? Like, so it was like, am I repeating the same thing? Am I, you know, it's just, it's amazing. It's so rewarding because you're sitting with your friends and people that you know, and it's like a heart-to-heart conversation. And it's the stories that I already know about them, but I kind of want to share it with the world. It's conversations that we have, but we want to share it because they're important and they need to be heard. Not for us, for, I guess, the next generation or this, I don't know, Gen Z, Marif. Just for people and maybe for us in the future, you know? I would want to go back to hearing me or seeing me in whatever, like a vlog, like a video, like social, 20 years from now. I think people look back at pictures. I think we're going to go back to social channels. I think most of us have been hearing our story told by someone else. And then when we wanted to say our own story, it was like belittled in a way, like, oh no, that's not what happens. Oh, مثلا, oh, you're exaggerating. Oh, this is not a big deal. Like, people have been through like worse than this. And I'm like, okay, sorry, but this is my story. Give me space to say my story. And everyone should be allowed and given the space to tell their own story. Everyone.
Speaking of being creators, I want to talk about this incredible initiative you started called the Arab Creative Directory, which blew up online. And I feel like you started a conversation that we all were thinking, but you kind of gave it a face, a space in the world. And also just kind of saying, like you said, to people who are kind of working to tell our story, you know, can you tell me about the experience of, you know what, I'm going to start a directory? Like, what happened in that moment? What triggered you to start this?
There's so many like politics when it comes to this, because like being part of the industry, there's not much you can say about the industry without someone getting upset or offended or defensive in that matter. So what happened is there was a conversation happening about inclusivity and just representation. And I think as a region, we weren't represented as much because we're just starting. The industry is still a baby, I would say. I mean, not a baby, but it's young. It's a young industry. It's a young creative economy. It's still young compared to other places. So I think what was happening is that there wasn't enough diversity a few years ago because there wasn't a place where it was still so, people were still graduating, people were still starting their own businesses, people were still connecting. And I think what was amazing about Instagram is that we found each other. We found other people that were doing the same thing we were doing. They were creating the industries in their circles, in their countries, in their cities. They were creating these creative industries from scratch, which is what happened, which is what I have seen in Jeddah. And I've seen it bloom and I've seen it grow, and this wasn't the case, you know, pre-Instagram. We didn't know what was happening, or like what other brands are there, or what other designers or curators or strategists, or, you know. So I think there was always this, people didn't want to do the work. People in some industries or in some companies didn't want to do the work. They're like, oh, this system is working for us. Yes, it's not as inclusive, but, you know, it's been working. We know the market, we know the audience. And I don't know what happened, but I guess there was a point that we were like, no, you don't. We know us better than you know us. Yes, you've been in the region for I don't know how many years, but include us in the conversation. Include us at the table where you're making the decisions. And they never did. And I'm trying not to generalize or pinpoint, but yani, this is a systemic issue in a lot of corporate places within the industry, creative industry, that you don't find a lot of Arabs in decision-making level, or the majority are not, which is odd because you're catering to mostly Arabs.
Neo Books and Coffee is a proud sponsor of the Women Power podcast. You can browse their incredible, beautifully curated book selection, build your wish list, and request out-of-stock and unlisted titles with the Neo Books and Coffee app, which is available to download on the Apple and Google Play Store. The Arab Creative Directory now is an Excel sheet on Google Docs that has an incredible list of creatives that are ready to work, ready to collaborate. And in a way, you said, look, don't say that there is no creative talent. We are providing you became a solution provider. So we went from kind of saying, you know, there isn't anyone, or where do we find them? Please don't say there isn't, because check this out. There's hundreds and hundreds of creatives ready to collaborate, work, and create.
I think a lot of people knew that there were, they just didn't want to do the work. You have to do the work. And even with this list, it's not filtered, and it's not you're not gonna get like a list of exactly what you need, like handed to you. You have to dig, and you have to find who you need to hire, what you're looking for. You have to go, you have to do the work. You do the work. Yani, people were like, oh, but how easy is it to find someone? And I'm like, oh, come on, I'm gonna do the work of finding someone for you. There's this is like treated like Google, but a more condensed Google of like, I did literally 70% of the work. Not me, we did 70% of the work of like inputting our names. And so now it's on you to do the 30% of curating it or finding exactly what you need. So if you're not willing to do that, and you just want to take the easy route of just doing things how they were done and not including people from the region, then that's not going to work. That's not going to work anymore. That's going to look bad on you as an entity, that you're not involving people that you're catering to. And it's a bit racist.
What are some of the challenges behind the scenes that we can't see?
Okay, so data is valuable. But data, if it's not organized, it's not data. It's just letters and words. So it's just about getting stuff organized and knowing what to do with this data, and like the legality of it. How can we use it that we're not, it's people's information. So how do we use it in a way that benefits them and doesn't use them? I don't want to sell this data to, you know, a company that's gonna use people instead of help them or hire them or work with them. I don't want someone to come in and be like, oh, can you give me that database? I want to push a product to these people. No. How are you going to help? How are you going to be involved and not just get something out of it? That's like one of the things that we're thinking about. Like, even when it comes to, we're looking for like grants or an investor, it has to be powered by us, because we created this collectively. People that insert their information, people that shared it, people that sent it to people. We created it I just literally started a Google Doc. I didn't do this creative directory.
What's your dream scenario? Is it a grant or like a government authority saying, listen, we'll take this and we'll take this to the next level and we'll promote it?
Government authority is tricky because then there might be like a bias towards people from that specific country. A grant would make more sense, or crowdsourcing it, so then it's not owned by anyone.
Do you feel a bit of pressure to do something about it, or are you taking your time?
No, yani, there's no pressure. There wasn't a plan. I feel like it's the way that it became its own thing. I think it was this idea that was floating around, and it just like manifested in a Google Sheet form. So we have a team of 5 now. People are interested. There are like conversations about like getting a grant or crowdsourcing, and we're working on it. But yani, I'm not in a rush. It's open. People can still use it. I know that it's just gonna get better by time, but for now, it is what it is.
I love that you do so much to highlight, showcase creatives in this region. You started e-zine, e-publication with MENA. You're the co-founder with this publication. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that and where is it today?
I'm gonna like make it brief. It's something that I co-founded in 2017. That didn't work out, so that was like a lesson. It was one of these things that just wasn't happening. I was always interested in culture. I was always interested in print, being a graphic designer. So this is why and this is what the reasons why like MENA happened, because I needed to focus on something else because MENA was not working, which was fine. It was kind of like a lesson. Like I learned so much from it. And the reason why I started therapy is because of MENA and because the fact that a lot happened with it, and I wanted to understand, and I was so heartbroken, and I felt like I was lost. So MENA kind of saved me, because it was like this thing that, it's not, the thing is about me is I love to start things. So MENA is a podcast, but it's also like a community. It's a platform that I do want to take into print one day, hopefully 2021. And also I'm really afraid. I'm afraid of failing. I'm afraid of things not working out, because I'm afraid of that little voice that's like, oh, what happened with this? Why didn't this work out? And it's mostly like, I'm fine with saying, yes, I failed. So what? I didn't, but what is failing? You have to fail. You can't just win. And instead of like focusing on like this one thing that didn't work out, I'm looking at all the 4 other things that did work out. Also, I don't tell myself enough, but I'm really grateful for having this gift of like being able to start things and them taking off, and I have no idea how this happens. I really don't. My only issue is that I love starting things, but then like maintaining them is just like, can't we just start things? I really want to get into the business of just like starting brands for other people. So then it's their baby. I'm like, here, take. I'll help you build this. I'll help you launch it. But here, take it. I can't.
You said that MENA broke your heart, and that's why you started online therapy. And you said that it was a failure, but it was a lesson. Can you tap more into what happened in that experience that broke your heart, and also what did you learn?
It broke my heart because I lost a friendship in the process of MENA not working out, and that broke my heart. It wasn't actually the business. It was kind of both.
I had a roommate in college, and everyone told me, don't live with your friend. And I was like, no, this is going to be different. Like, you guys have no idea. And like, I feel like we get this advice all the time. Like, don't go into business with your friends, or hire your friends, or live with your friends. And it was like the biggest breakup of my life. Like there is nothing that happened. Like we had a huge fallout in the middle of like, the year, like, and we're both students, and our friends had to split into two. And like there was her camp and my camp. And for like 2 years after that, I think I just had not issues, but it was so traumatizing. I can't even tell you. I fell into such waves of depression because of it. And and how I coped is I just, made new friends, but still, like, it was so hard to like lose all those that high school group of friends that I grew up with. And then slowly, like, I made back some of those friendships, but not with that person that, we. So it's hard. It's the most heartbreaking, I think, breakup I've had in my life. It was disastrous. And even now thinking about it, I'm like, I get not like pain, but like there's like a pain around my heart, like a little like pinching, you know what I mean? So it's really not easy to break up with friends.
It's, يعني, breakups are breakups. And I think this is the first time I talk about this publicly, but it's not like people know exactly what happened. And at the end of the day, يعني, I try and maintain. There's always this thing about stories that involve two people. Do you tell your own story? Do you, because it's also about the other person, and it comes up a lot when it's when you talk about your childhood. Is it fair to talk about your parents because it involves them, but it's your story, يعني, it's your experience. It's tricky, like it's very tricky. I hope I get to a point where I can feel so comfortable talking about this publicly. I am with my friends, but I feel like it's when you put something out in the world and in the universe, you can't get it back. So I don't know.
Do you see yourself as is that how you kind of label yourself?
I don't know. I don't label myself, يعني. I always say I'm a creative director that works in the intersection of fashion, design, and culture.
Your account is, you started collaborating with all these incredible brands, not just from Fionca, but also from your end. You're, shooting content, you are showcasing different products and brands. How does that feel, working with these companies and organizations? Do you feel good about it? Was it hard for you to create content that, goes viral, or does this come natural to you?
I mean, I know I'm not, apart from like the Arab Creative Directory that went viral. Also, Fionca kind of went viral back in the day, 9 years ago. Working with brands is always a joy. Like learning about the brand, learning about the story of the brand, and and that's why like I'm more selective about who I work with. But everyone's doing their own thing. يعني I command. It's so important not to just to feel special, differentiate yourself from like a term that involves so many people that are doing so much work and that are doing their own thing. I think يعني if people want to call themselves influencer, they can. I don't. يعني if someone calls me an influencer, ما يعني عادي. I am a person with influence. Everyone is a person with influence. Everyone is an influencer. You can influence 3 people, you can influence 3 million. It's just a term that made it easier for the industry to categorize certain people that work with certain brands in exchange for something, whether it's financial or exposure or collaborative. يعني I am a person with influence, and I am a person that has an Instagram account that is verified. My username is my first name. But يعني, I don't know what it means. It's so, because I've seen this industry happen from literally blogging on Blogspot with a header to tweeting to Instagram before Instagram was a thing. يعني So I don't know what the term influencer is. I want to know more, and I want to read more, and I want to see like what's the next word. Is it content creator? Is it going to be more specific? You know, because it was blogger until blogs weren't a thing. And then it was, I don't know if Instagram celebrity is used, but now it's influencer, which is fine.
So, we all know the story of Fionka. Are you amazed at how many people still feel all these feelings about Fionka and what it meant to them?
Fionka was a part of culture. Fionka was part of Khaliji culture in 2011. And 2011, 2012, and no one can say otherwise. No one. That was on social media, which was literally like a few platforms. Fionka was part of like this Khaliji design entrepreneur scene. Something happened. And again, it was this idea that was floating around and like manifested in one of my illustrations, and it became a thing. I still sometimes feel so humbled when people like still know it, when people still have products from it that are literally 9 years old.
One of the questions I've always been curious about Fionka is, where are you with it now? How do you feel about it? Did you design it for the girl that you used to be and now you...
I always say Fionka saved me. Fionka was an outlet that I used to kind of survive. Literally, it saved me financially, it saved me emotionally, it saved me it was an outlet. It served its purpose for that time. And now I'm working on something. Fionka is gonna turn 10 next year. Oh my god. It's turning 10. I'm working on something of making it more of like a community-based brand that works with different illustrators. I wanted to give back. Just like it saved me, I wanted to save another girl that is 21,
I always felt like Fionka has the potential to be a global brand. Have you thought about scaling it, raising investment for it and building it to be a multi-tier fashion, apparel, accessories?
Yeah, why not? I feel like everything has its own time. I know this is like an example. There's a brand called Nanushka. It's a Hungarian brand. It exploded a few years ago in the US. And people thought it was just like a brand that happened. They were operating for 13 years in Hungary before it exploded in the US and became global. Everything happens in its own time. I used to have so much guilt about like not focusing on Fionka, but it really didn't give me as much as after a certain time. It came to a point where I had to let it go, but then it came back to me, but then I let it go again, and then it came back to me. So now I'm just like, okay, I hear you. You're turning 10, you want a big birthday kind of thing. Let's see what we can do. I'm working with amazing designers, like young designer creatives from the region that are like really excited about this, because if I was 21 when I started this, they were 14, and for them to be part of this just like really makes me so happy. So let's see where that goes. No pressure, yani. The thing is, we were having this conversation about like, what is success? Is success like hitting, a certain target? Is success being content? Is success just being happy? Everyone has like a different definition of success, and for now, just for me, like waking up in the morning with like a calm heart, for me that's I've succeeded this day. And if I meet people that I love, and if like the energy is good, and if I do a few things that are productive, and if I get recognition on work that I've did, then that day was a success. If I had a good meal, worked out, slept well, drank water, that was a successful day.
Because I think we can be very mean to ourselves, and we can be harsh, and we can be aggressive.
We can be mean to ourselves and each other. It's just like, ايش بتسوي؟ ايش صار في فيونكا؟ ايش بيصير؟ ليه ما تسوي كده؟ I'm like, okay, amazing. You have all these ideas. Please, you start a brand. like, please, you go ahead, start, do all of these amazing ideas, and don't project what you want to do on me. There's so much pressure. بس أنا كان نفسي أشوفه. Okay, amazing. Sorry, but that's so much pressure to put on me. Do you have any idea what I had to do to literally like make this happen? I can't even think about it. I mean, I can, and I just 21-year-old Alaa had so much more courage because she had nothing to lose. And now I'm just like, okay, do I want to like work so hard at like and just like my energy gets depleted على حساب نفسي? No, I'm like right now I'm just literally focusing on me, my brain, my heart, my soul, my health, my relationships, just me. And it's okay if I don't get to buy, you know. I think my success is just buying a Kelly with my own money. And it's okay if I don't buy a Kelly this year. عادي. I'm still gonna be me. Sans Kelly.
Oh my god, that's so a slogan on a fianca bag. Like, it used to be Baba buy me a Birkin. Now this year I'm gonna buy me a Kelly. Like the fianca girl has grown up.
And so many times I'm like, do I want to buy a Kelly or do I want to start a new brand? And I go for a new brand every time. Whether it's Alaa Hashim, like my new brand, whether it's like MENA, ACD, like all of these things that just happen. Like every other year there's something new, and alhamdulillah, I'm grateful for that. So I just need to manifest like a team or like a partner that just wants to be part of all of these things.
We're very proud to announce our collaboration with a brand that we strongly resonate with and are huge fans of. The Woman Power podcast will be sponsored by Neo Books and Coffee for our upcoming season 4. Neo Books and Coffee is an independent bookshop and coffee bar housing a wide collection of both English and Arabic books, stationery, and gifts. Their coffee bar serves and sells quality teas from tea pigs and only the finest Arabica beans. They also have a coffee app available on both iOS and Android devices. The Woman Power podcast is delighted to be working with our new partners and look forward to producing more meaningful content and recognizing our goals together. Watch the space for more exciting details. So you have Alaa Hashim, your kind of slow fashion brand. You have the Arab creative directory. You have MENA, and you have Fianca. How do you manage your time between these 4?
I do what I can. Yani, the thing is, in business school, they teach you all the things that in therapy, yani, they don't make sense. You know, competitors and like SWOT analysis and all of that, which is like, of course it's valid. But then what if the business is you? It's a personal you know? Okay. My business, whatever it is, let's say my Instagram business, me being an influencer business. Do I want to think about my competitors? No. No one can be me. Why am I competing? So it's very tricky. Like, I'm the best person to ask like how to start a brand. I think how to manage a brand, when I figure that out in about 20 years, I will answer you. I'll send you a voice note. I try and stay on top of things. I'm really, this is like what I actually do. I have multiple lists, so I separate them. What do I need to do? What's urgent? When I plan a meeting with someone, I have to follow through. So I put it in my calendar. I send them a link, so it's on both of our calendars. Basically, when you're so busy, every hour counts. And when I'm not productive, I feel anxious. Like when I'm not doing something, I'm like, what am I doing now? And my friends are like, now you chill. I'm like, what? What chill? Because even my vacation time, it's a perfect time to create content, you know? So it's just about like, it's breaking it down. Realistically, it's breaking it down. Because you might think like, oh my God, I need to do this launch. Oh my God. Break it down. Design, list of people. Okay, let's gather emails. What's the concept? Who's gonna like shoot it? Who's like, just breaking it down. And so it's mostly conducting business, it's PDF, emails, and Zooms. That's it. You do all the work and ideation and you put it in PDF form and you send and you get something back. Sometimes Excel sheets, but that's conducting business day to day. It's sending PDF, receiving PDFs, and it's emails. So being on top of that is what you can do.
How do you stay motivated?
I'm very kind with myself, but when I do feel motivated, that's when I'm like, it's go time, yalla. So I feel motivated when I'm surrounded by like that energy of motivation. And when I'm not motivated, I'm like, okay, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's bothering you? So then I do like one thing a day. I try not to like be hard on myself. I do one thing a day. It's either working out, seeing a friend, organizing, cooking a really nice meal, getting groceries, because sometimes productivity and feeling good is not about emails and business and work. It's also about doing laundry makes me feel good. Getting my nails done makes me feel good. Putting on like a mask it's taking care of you also. Otherwise, you can't give if you don't.
What's inspiring about what you're doing, Alaa, is you've reinvented like a new business model for yourself. You have multiple projects. You know, we all have to make a living. So, you know.
And diversifying. I think it's important to diversify. I think when COVID happened, people freaked out. You know, are events going to be a thing? Do I have an event planning company? Are people gonna buy these things? People are not going out anymore. And I'm selling wedding gowns, you know? So diversifying in any business you are, diversifying. And you're seeing it a lot, you know? And people that used to make handbags, now they're making furniture in the same aesthetic. Diversify. What can you do? What are you able to offer? I can illustrate. I can also consult. I can, you know, help you create content for your brand. I can give you insights on Saudi. I can connect you with people. Like, I can cook. I can host. I can produce. I can do a podcast. I'm diversifying. I am creating an empire, a cross between Martha Stewart, Oprah, and Emily Weiss, and Cher. I want to be known for like my first name basis, not from an ego perspective, from a brand consistency perspective. And I know that it's not gonna be. I know that in my 20s, I hit like my you know, like my Alaa Balkhy. Everyone knows Alaa Balkhy, you know, in the small circle. So my 30s are kind of like taking it slow. And I know that in my 40s, I'm going to pick up again. And maybe my 50s will be slow. And my 60s is when I'm going to drop my visual autobiography with either Tashin or Asunin or Rizzoli.
When you start something, do you think about monetization at all?
That's something that I need to get better at. And I feel like, yeah, this is something that I need to get better at. Inshallah, resolution 2021.
I do feel like what you're doing, obviously, like you said it yourself. I have the gift of starting something. It picks up, it goes viral. People are engaged. They're interested in what I'm working on. And what's so interesting about this conversation is you said, I don't want the work to define me. I define the work. So it's like Alaa does this, not this does Alaa, if that makes any sense. Like it's you define what you're doing.
And maybe that's my personality, and maybe that's my role in you know, in this world, is to be, my job is to be who I am right now. And these are the things that bring me joy. I can be better at them. And yeah, I never want to reach to a point where I feel like, oh, I can't be better at any. I can be better. Every day I want to be better. So every year I want to be better, and I want to learn, and I want to be better and learn. I'm never going to stop learning, and I'm never going to stop wanting to be better.
And you've always shared with us your breakthroughs and transformation, and you engage with us and you share what you're doing. But yeah, I think as you get older, you're becoming more and more yourself, and there's only one of you. So I guess you being yourself is like the biggest gift you can give everyone, because nobody can replicate that. You know, people can try to copy Fianca or the creative directory or Minazine or whatever, but like there's only you doing it this, you know, the specific way that you are, which is very brave. And it's not easy to be vulnerable at all, and to like cry or share like sometimes the hardest moments with your community. But I think that's what gets us all to connect with you. It's so human, you know?
Yeah. I think that's it. I think just being human. And like we always hear, like, don't show them this, your weakness, they're gonna use it against you. If someone wants to use my weakness against me, then that's on them. That's on them being that kind of person. I don't want to worry about me because I'm afraid what they're going to do. I'm gonna be worried all my life? No. If someone feels better by bringing me down and that makes them feel better, then they need to check themselves.
If somebody today was at a position where they have multiple brands, or they've started multiple things, or they're also an idea generator, what advice would you give them?
Work with someone. So if you're an idea generator and someone is an idea doer, work with someone that is an idea doer.
So like find like a co-founder, a partner, or just find a team.
Someone that doesn't like to be in the spotlight if you want to be in the spotlight. Someone that compliments you. And that's gonna happen. And I'm still waiting for that person that's gonna come and, you know, just help me take all of these things to the next level. And I'm not in a rush. I trust time, and everything happens in the right time. Everything.
Do you think that raising investments for any of your ideas is on the table? Is that something you think about? Because like the whole world now is going towards...
No, yeah, but I don't know what's the best way to do that. I'm trying to know, and come on, it's so tricky, and especially in an industry that, you know, I think, I don't know, maybe it is about my personality or me feeling like someone else needs to do this for me. Someone else needs to... I don't know, but I want to learn.
This is such an interesting conversation. I just feel like there's so many open questions, which is lovely. Like I usually love like, what is the answer, you know? And this is nice because it's like, we'll see, and it will come, and it's okay, and things will work out. And if they're not meant to work out, they're not meant to work out. And there's a nice kind of surrender to how you do things, because it's not pushing things to the finish line. It's letting things as well kind of take shape.
Yeah, like what's the end goal? I'm living life now. This is like the process, and the process is nice.
When you get a new idea, Alaa, are you like, oh God, not again?
Yes, all the time. I have so many ideas. That's why I love to do collaborations, like one-off, like projects. Because like, okay, fine, idea done. So many ideas. Whether it's like, there's so many ideas, ya Allah, like...
Where do you put them? Do you put them in a notebook somewhere?
I don't put them because I really think if I don't do them, someone else, like the ideas is there. It's like Liz Gilbert.
I was just gonna say big magic. Yeah.
The idea is there. So if someone else does it, I'll be like, yay, alhamdulillah, someone else did this idea. Good.
Less work for me to do.
Yeah. This idea is done. So many ideas, especially now, like the market isn't this is the time for Saudi brand, Saudi concept, Saudi everything. So when someone does something, I'm like, oh my God, yes.
Have you ever hired somebody full-time to work with you?
Yes, I had 3 amazing people working with me. Rund, Isra, and Tariq. They saved me. It was such a pleasure to work with them. Each and every one of them.
Are they still working with you now?
No. So I think this was like even pre-COVID, we closed the offices, and everyone like had their own, like went on to do their own thing. But I was so grateful to cross paths with them. They helped me so much.
Do you feel like working with a team suits your personality? Is it for you? I know some people worked with teams and they said, you know, this is not for me, I'd rather work alone?
I don't know. Because there's always old Alaa and new Alaa. I'm more open to working with people. I love working with people on projects. And I love working with people that our work complements each other.
It's a double-edged sword because on the one hand, you have people that can maintain your work and also monetize. It's a full-time job to monetize, look for partners, sales, whatever. But at the same time, like sometimes you end up managing people instead of creating. And then that becomes really like, I don't want to manage people. I want to do the parts I love.
Yeah, I think it definitely should be like a win-win situation. Partnerships are great. I think the only partnerships are great, and I feel like with marriage you learn so much about having like a lifelong partner. But also we're not in the same industry, so.
My last question is, what do you feel is your superpower?
Me? My superpower? My superpower is being me. My superpower is that I'm 31 and I look 21. That's my superpower. Yeah, I got away with so many things growing up because of like my eyes, like the way I just look at people. No, my superpower, I would say, is like connecting people. Is like being able to just like connect people.
That's it for this week. Thank you for listening to an episode of the Women Power Podcast. And thank you for downloading and streaming our podcast every week. If you love what you've heard, tag us on Instagram and follow the Women Power Podcast and the Women Power Summit account for more information on our next episode. Please leave a rating review wherever you get your podcast. It really helps other women discover the show. That's it from me. See you next week.